The next day I encountered something almost as frightening as when I first saw these angels, and that was sharks. I knew from reading that the Philippines are simply renowned for being both shark and pirate infested, and by this stage I had begun bleeding into the water. But I can assure you that nothing prepares you for the sight of the fins of two man-eating sharks powering towards your boat at the most incredible speed. It is as if somebody has reached inside your chest and has grabbed your heart and is squeezing the life from you. I was in total shock for about 30 seconds. Then I managed to throw myself onto the hull of this upturned boat. But that indeed was a mistake, because it was covered in the slimy green algae. And when I lay on it, on my stomach with only one remaining outrigger to hold on to, a wave from behind swept me like a torpedo straight into the path of these sharks, so that when I surfaced, they were just 15 metres right in front of me. Now, I don't know whether perhaps at the time I had seen too many Jaws movies, but I truly believed that I was dead. I just saw my entire body being ripped apart in a feeding frenzy. I'm swimming back to the boat telling myself, don't splash, don't splash, don't splash, expecting any moment to feel the serrated teeth of one of these sharks just clamp on to the back of my leg, when suddenly this voice calls out the strangest thing: do not fear, for they will not hurt you. I said, what? I'm bleeding, there's sharks, they're going to eat me. And he said it again: do not fear, for they will not hurt you. And I suddenly realised what God was saying. I said I'd save you, didn't I? Now where's that 100% faith? I realised right then, if God had created this entire universe and even these sharks, then surely he had the power to stop them from biting me too, if that be his will. But what he required of me was 100% faith. Now, I don't think I need to tell you that in my lifetime there has not been anything I have found more difficult to do than, with hungry sharks surrounding my boat about to devour me, to believe that God was going to save me. But let me also say that in the moment that I believed with 100% faith, those sharks swam away as if they had never seen me at all. Now that, I believe, is what God is asking from each and every one of us, is to have 100% faith no matter what our circumstances. They probably won't get more insurmountable than being surrounded by hungry sharks. But you know, I would imagine that sometimes it really feels as if it is, as if you're surrounded on every side by hungry human sharks about to devour you. God is asking you in those moments to trust him beyond what you see, beyond what is obvious to the eye. To me, it was obvious those sharks were going to eat me. God is asking you in those moments when everything seems impossible to trust him beyond logic, beyond rationale, beyond human emotion. He's just asking you to have faith, because he is the God of the impossible. He delights in doing impossible things, if only you have the faith to believe. You know, I believe in the power of prayer. I most assuredly do. But I also believe that prayer without faith is dead works. Faith is the currency that our God works with. When Jesus walked this earth, he did not say, your prayers have healed you. He said, your faith has healed you. Go, your faith has made you well. And he doesn't change. He still requires that same faith of us today. And if he requires not 90, but 100% from Michelle Hamilton, then he requires not 90, but 100% from you also. You know, God makes this incredible statement, I believe one of the most incredible of the whole Bible. He says, it is impossible for you to please me without faith. Can you imagine such a statement? That with all your good works and all your good deeds, it is impossible to please the living God without having faith. A half an hour after I saw these sharks, I finally saw my rescue boat. An enormous vessel came powering towards me. I took off my singlet top and started waving frantically like a lasso. But this rescue ship actually passed me by. I can't tell you how devastating it was that my only sign of rescue in 3 days just passed me by. I don't know whether they had the boat on autopilot, but there was absolutely no sign of life. I sat there praying, please let somebody see me. And just when I'd given up, a figure appeared on the stern of the boat, looked into the water, pointed at me, and waved. It was the most exciting moment. Then suddenly other figures joined him on the stern of the boat, and they all waved and said, beckoned, you come, swim. This is half an hour after I'd seen the sharks. It was like, couldn't you come to me? I had to get back into the depth of that water and leave the safety of that boat, which had become almost my closest friend apart from my saviour. And I made that 1 mile swim to that boat, having to stop every couple of moments from the absolutely excruciating agony my body was in. I finally got to the rescue boat, and they threw a rope down the side and said, you climb up. I held onto this rope, and this fishing vessel must have been incredibly old because it had just rusty fragments all over it. And as I held onto the boat, they hauled me up the side and just ripped every part of my 2nd-degree burns. I thought to myself, I'm going to let go, I'm going to let go. And God said, no, you hang on. They pulled me over the side. And just before I collapsed into absolute unconsciousness, I heard them call out, Serena, Serena, it's an Americano mermaid. I thought to myself, what? Didn't make sense at the time, but I guess you don't expect to look into the middle of the South China Sea, hundreds of nautical miles out to sea, and see a girl with long blonde hair wearing bikinis and flippers. It really might have been a natural assumption. They said it was because the Filipinos are extremely superstitious. They believe that the mermaid takes the life of one fisherman every year, and they thought that if they brought me on board, I was going to kill them all. They said they didn't realise until they undid my money belt and pulled out my Australian passport did they realise that I was just a mere mortal and not the catch of the day after all. I turned to this young man, one of the only that spoke broken English, and I said to him, because I could barely speak, thank you for saving my life. And he turned to me and said, it is not I that saved your life, but God. And that reiterated every single thing that had happened to me. It wasn't them that had saved my life. It wasn't me that had saved my life. It was God that had saved my life.